With me. Hi, Olumide. Good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm fine. How time flies, yeah?
Yes, it's a good one. It's my birthday month, so I'm so excited also.
Oh, yes. Happy birthday in advance.
Yes. No
Yeah.
problem. Good morning and welcome again to the Breakfast Cafe. This is where we give you a fresh start every day. We have a whole lot in store for us, for you, so stick around. Let's start off with banters and etiquettes. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Today we will be talking about etiquette, and the topic for today is understanding body language. Now, before I give you the head start, body language is something that is essential for everybody. I mean, for both genders, especially if you are dealing with the opposite gender. They say if you want to know whether someone is lying, you just look straight into the person's face, or his eyes, basically, and you can tell if the person is lying or
Really?
not. Yes. They say if you're talking, if interacting with the female gender, if she's fickling her hair, if she's doing some things, it could mean
She's giving you the green light.
attraction.
Ah.
So body language are very essential. It communicates certain informations that the mouth might not communicate. Sometimes the mouth might be saying one thing and the body language is saying the other.
But you see, this thing is not cast in stone.
Yes, it is.
A lady probably might flick her hair when you're talking to her and she's not giving you the green light. Just saying.
All right, so body language is a fascinating aspect of communication that involves non-verbal signals to convey feelings and intentions. Now, it includes gestures, facial expressions, posture, eye contact. Now, understanding body language can enhance your communication skills as it helps you to interpret the emotions and reactions of others more accurately. Now, for instance, crossed arms might indicate this defensiveness, yes, while open hands, of course, can signify openness and receptiveness. Similarly, maintaining eye contact generally shows confidence and interest, whereas avoiding eye contact may suggest discomfort and disinterest.
Let me come in here. Have you heard some elders say to you, don't look directly into their eyes? You just said that eye contact could signify confidence. In some cases, some people take it as disrespect.
Yes, that's why my language, they say, me wolo jury, that I never looked at the person in the eye.
Really?
So when someone looks at you in the eye, it could be disrespectful in a way.
So I think this is contextual. It depends on the context.
Yes.
You know, whatever. It depends on where you are, what you're doing, and what it's about. That's what context is about. But I think you have more for us. Yeah? Or should I go now?
Yes.
Body language cues is what we are talking about right now. Maintaining eye contact is number one. Number two, smiling. Number three, open and relaxed posture. Number four, uncrossed arms and legs. Number five, leaning forward, that's interest. Number six, nodding, that's agreement. Number seven, firm but not crushing handshake. Aha! Yes. Have you ever had that before? A crushing handshake?
Yes. When you shake someone as a man, it must be very bold, must be very firm.
But not crushing.
But not crushing, to signify confidence.
Ah.
Yes.
Okay. That means a feminine handshake is totally different from a masculine handshake. All right, we also have a standing up straight, that's confidence. I think I will also put sitting up straight as well. Number nine, using open and expansive gestures, mirroring, that's reflecting the other person's body language. You know, you remember, let's go political a little bit, because this thing about body language is not just for informal relationships. You remember when former President Muhammadu Buhari came on board, for the first 6 months, there was uninterrupted power supply, and people said it was because of his body language. Because prior to his becoming the president, he had been the head of state, and his second in command was the late Idi Agbon. And there was discipline in the country. So when he came on board, people felt, this is Mr. Integrity. You know, but after 6 months, people felt, you know, so that's something about body language. You go, Lumide.
Yes, now body language cues, it says avoiding eye contact, crossing arms or legs, that's doing defensiveness rather, slouching or hunching, that's a lack of confident. Frowning or scowling. Now, tapping or fidgeting, yes, signifies impatience. Sighing or rolling eyes could be frustration. Rolling eyes sometimes could be for the female.
But
okay, rolls her eyes and all that. It could mean something else. So,
yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Do you want to say what?
No, I won't say it on TV. Now, it's also we also have invading personal space, not listening or interrupting. Yes, that is also not good. Using aggressive or closed-off gestures, yawning or checking the watch. But now that particular gesture is something that signifies maybe the person is quite boring. Maybe someone is conversating with you or talking with you and you're yawning and you're checking your time. It's quite rude. Especially if you're checking your time. That means you're signifying that when are you going to stop? You're taking up my time.
Yeah, and it could just put the other person off totally.
Definitely. Yeah. Now we have some other body gestures or body language rather. Dress professionally. Yes, they say dress the way you want to be addressed. That is very, very essential. Maintain good posture. Yes.
What's professional though? For if you're working in an informal sector, take for example Mark Zuckerberg. I've never seen him wear a shirt and a tie. He always does T-shirts.
Yes.
Probably because of what he does. So is that professional for him?
He's in a tech world, and in a tech world, they don't really have
a dress code.
Yes,
yeah.
They don't really.
For example, it won't do for you to come on board right now wearing a T-shirt.
A T-shirt.
Right now.
Exactly.
But when you're on the field and you're probably covering a flood disaster report, you could do T-shirts.
Exactly. So, you know, just like, but in this part of the country, this part of Nigeria, you know very well that if you want to be addressed properly in Nigeria or present Nigeria, you have to dress properly. Especially when you go to restaurants, hotels, and all these official places, the way you dress really, really matters. You know, Nigerians they believe that when you dress flash, when you look expensive, you look rich. Now, quickly, we have use confident and assertive gestures. Practice active listening. Avoid distractions, that is, phones. Use open and approachable body language. Respect personal space. Avoid negative non-verbal cues like sign or social body language. Let us stop here. I think you must, those of you listening, watching at home, you must have learned a few things about body language, and it is always very essential to maintain good body language. Some certain body language that you might give up might interpret something else, so you really need to know what body language means and what it interprets. But this is where we'll stop for now. We have newspaper review coming up next, so please stay tuned.
Well, it's the Breakfast Cafe right here on High Impact TV. I got Olumide sitting right opposite me, and my name is Vivian Oguche. Like we always say, it is all about you. Right now, we have come to the segment called Newspaper Review, where we get to take a look at the national dailies. If you will, let's begin with The Guardian. Major headline, State of Emergency stalks Rivers as political thugs attack councils. A major picture there also is a collage of major players in that landscape. You know, just yesterday, Sarah and I were saying, oh my gosh, the local government polls was relatively peaceful. We did not know that later in the day we will hear reports of, explosions and all of that, and secretariats being burned. But let's continue to take a look at the front page of The Guardian. This one here says, anti-graft war won't be won by technicalities. Guess who that's coming from? President Tinubu. Page 3 has details of that story. Right below that, we have this one here. It says, we have the picture of Mele Kyari right now, who is one of the most popular, or shall I say unpopular persons in Nigeria. The headline says, worries over petrol price as Tinubu deregulates downstream sector. That is one of the things that happened just yesterday, Olumide. There is a total deregulation now of the downstream sector in the oil industry. Right now, the NNPC is not, doesn't have the monopoly over fixing prices. It is between the buyer and the seller.
For the opt-in time.
What do you mean, like it's not going to happen?
No, this deregulation thing, I think we heard it during former President Muhammadu Buhari. I'm just really tired. Let's get to, okay, fine, it has been deregulated. Let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens. Fingers crossed. Also on the front page of the Guardian, we have this one here. Health-wise now, NAFDAC champions food labeling standards as workers commence indefinite strike. Talking about NAFDAC going on strike, that isn't good at all.
That isn't good at all.
Yeah, we have 80% of Africans unhappy with delivery of democratic rule, says Akin Kekereekun. It looks like what former President Olusegun Obasanjo has said about democracy not working for Africa. It looks like it's becoming a widespread sentiment on the continent. Now, remember he had called for Afro-democracy?
Yes.
Yeah, looks like lots of re-echoes of that particular one. But we also have the story on the front page of The Guardian. It says, reviving comatose technical education beyond enrollment drive. We also, just above that, we have police arrest Aregbesol's loyalist for accusing Oyetola of using palliative rice as birthday gifts. Oh my gosh, this is Pandora's box being opened. Yeah, I'm telling you, you're using palliative rice as birthday gifts? Gosh.
But we saw that before.
Where? When?
One senator in Lagos, who during that COVID-19 thing, that it was discovered that it was some of the things, the palliatives were used as packs, souvenirs and all that.
Let me just hold my thoughts, right? We'll run this by our guest analyst when he comes on board. Let's see if we have more story here. One more to go on the front page of the Guardian, beg your pardon. Court reduces bail of 5 #End Bad Governance protesters to 5 million naira each. Page 3 has details of that story. And it's a wrap for us with the front page of the Guardian.
Before we move on to the Daily Trust newspaper, don't forget you can also call us and take part in the conversation. You can call and give us updates in your area, in your state. You can also take part in some of the headlines. The number will be displayed on your screen. We are also live on YouTube and on X, formerly known as Twitter, at High Impact Studios. So let's move on to the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. On the Daily Trust, it says here, Rivers crisis escalate. We have 3 writers to that story. 4 local government secretariat burnt. President Tinubu directs Inspector General of Police to restore order. My meekness, not weakness. This is coming from Fubara himself. I watched an interview of Fubara on another station. He said that there are countless times he had to go on his knees to beg Wike.
Are you kidding?
Yes, he said that he had to go on his knees, to beg Wike. And this situation seems not to find any light at the end of the tunnel.
I like the fact that he's talking.
Yes.
He just said something. What did he say? My meekness.
Not weakness.
I like it. And just like Sarah and I said yesterday, he made a loud statement when the APP cleared 22 out of 23 seats during the LG polls.
One of the things he did also was when he stormed the State Independent Electoral Commission, where the police had a blockade, and he went in the middle of the night, I think around 1 a.m. I saw the video. He got there, said he heard stories that the police were trying to block that thing, that the election will hold, that local government election, it will hold in his state. He stood firm, and I really must applaud him. He is now, we can now say that he is the chief security officer of his state. Yeah. But well, of course, I know Wike will not back down.
Wike is going to court already. He already said that they were going to go to court.
Yes, he's not going to back down. Whether politically, officially, legally. I know Wike is in for a good fight. Well, so let's move on. We have a picture here, quite a devastating picture. I'm trying to see if I can get the headline. This should be Gaza. Yes, this is Gaza. These are the remains in Gaza, and you know, it tells you that war is never the solution in any way. But just below the nameplate, we have Tinubu released 1,200 fertilizer bags to each senator and 600 reps. Now, I hope, I would have said releasing it to the people.
To the farmers directly.
To the farmers. But maybe through the senators, maybe through the representatives, they'll be able to give it to their constituency.
Well, we just heard how one of the leaders was using palliative rice for birthday gifts.
You know, sometimes it's as if we know what we're supposed to do, but why are we not doing it? It's the question. I mean, well, I just hope that it actually gets to the right people. I mean, 1,200, but even in as much as we're giving fertilizers to farms that people cannot go to as a result of insecurity.
That's in a particular region.
In a particular region.
There are other parts of the country where farmers are going to the farm.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So well, let's see how 600 reps and senators will be able to share this fertilizers. Beside that, bandits kill 8 Zamfara community guards. Beside that, we have Sharia Council defends Senator Buba against politically motivated attacks. Now, below that, we are taking steps to address insecurity, disunity in the north. I think this is coming from ACF. Below that, cholera kills 7 persons in Kano. Cholera is still there. It has not gone. FCT primary school teachers suspend strike. Now, below that, we have Hajj fare to hit 10 million naira as federal government stops subsidy. I'll take that again. Hajj fare to hit 10 million naira as federal government stops subsidy. And lastly, Dangote refinery, Nigerians may pay more for petrol as NNPC quits middleman role. I wonder if this statement is true.
Yeah, it is. That's what deregulation means, right?
Okay.
So it is just between the buyer and the seller. Now the market is open. You have lots of marketers. The populace, Nigerians now would decide who to buy from and where to buy from.
Yes. So do you think we might pay more or pay less if it's competitive?
Well, when there's competition, if, for example, a particular businessman would want to attract more customers, he probably would drop down his price. Even if his competitor is selling at a very high price, his will be down. And of course, more people will flock to him.
Well, let's see how that turns out. That's all we have right now coming from the Daily Trust newspaper.
All right, let's quickly take a look at the Punch. Yeah, major headline is Naira for crude is what it says. Middle strip, just take a look at it. Federal government proposes a 6-month supply for Dangote refinery. I got 2 riders to that story. I'm taking them both. It says refinery to get 24 million barrels in 2 months. Second rider says fresh concerns over NNPCL's sole petrol buyer's role. Yeah, but we just clarified in other papers that NNPC is no longer the middleman when it comes to price fixing. There's a picture here of a car, a truck, burning. Let's see if we can find out what this is about. Right.
That's a police car.
Eleme Local Government Area Secretariat set ablaze by suspected arsonists in Rivers State. Governor Fubara inspects Ikwere Local Government Area Secretariat after it was also raised by protesters following the state's LG poll in Isiopo on Monday. Okay, that's what that picture is about. Yeah, truly, it looks like a police truck, like Olumide said. But below that, though, we have this story. Owando and 2 foreign firms shortlisted to buy Trinidad's national refinery. Olumide, did you hear that? Trinidad's national refinery.
We still have Dangote, so there's nothing to worry about.
It can't be Dangote alone, right? We
have Dangote refinery.
We should have more players in the field. That's what a deregulated market, looks like. More players in the field. But let's also see the story here on the front page of the Punch. It says, Nigerians in Lebanon fault FG over evacuation claim. The federal government had said over the weekend that Nigerians in Lebanon are refusing to come back home. Now, Nigerians in Lebanon are faulting the federal government over evacuation claim. You want details of that story, just go straight to page 27. We have this one here, middle strip. Federal government lists 7 states for monkeypox vaccination. Page 26 has details of that story. And above the masthead, Fubara camp opposes emergency rule as 3 killed and secretariat raised. We have one rider to that story. Tinubu warns against anarchy, and PDP govs as well as Clark back Fubara. Aha! It's getting clearer now. Governors under the People's Democratic Party, which Wiki belongs to, are backing Fubara, and also Clark, an elder statesman, of course, very staunch member of the PDP, is also backing Fubara. Let's see what this other story here is saying. It's last on the front page of the Punch. 2027 Obi Kwankwaso alliance proposal will fail. That's coming from the APC. Just yesterday, we talked about Kwankwaso offering himself to be Obi's second man, you know, come 2027. And the APC is saying that merger is going to fail.
Let the APC wait till 2027. Let the people decide. They are not the ones that will decide who is going to fail or who is going to win. It's the people that will decide that.
Do you think this is some form of jitters? They're probably feeling jittery. That's why they're feeling.
Yes, they're feeling, because Kwankwaso holds a lot of weight.
He holds a lot of sway, I'm telling you.
Yes.
In the north and even beyond the north.
Yes.
Right, that wraps it up for us on the front page of the Punch.
All right, quickly, we're moving on to the last newspaper, which is the Vanguard newspaper. This morning, it says here, Rivers, 5 killed, local government headquarters set ablaze, chairman chased out. A lot still going on in Rivers State as Tinubu directs police to provide local government officers security. You know, I was going to mention that I hope the president is not going to sit by, the Inspector General of Police, all security forces are not going to sit by and watch 2 people go head to head. I mean, it still has to do with the security of the state. The people, you know, when they say the two elephant fight, we know who suffers. The people are still there. And, you know, how many months has gone? How many, months have gone? And yet we are still not getting peace in Rivers. I don't know how far infrastructure-wise, education and all that is going on in Rivers, because with all this fighting and fighting, it really would, you know, set a whole lot of things back. Now, moving on, we have federal government, NNPCL, and Dangote plan changes in petrol lifting. This is an investigation. You can get more of that on page 20. It says here, malnutrition found federal government can and World Bank unite to save 11 million children. Court reduces bill to 5 million naira for end bad governance protesters each. Well, would I say that's a relief or a sucker to that? But moving on, we have Edo gubernatorial. PDP accuses INEC of doctoring beavers and concealing rigging. I'll take that again. Edo gubernatorial. PDP accuses INEC of doctoring beavers and concealing rigging. That's quite a huge allegation.
That's a huge one.
That's on page 10 of the Vanguard newspaper. Moving on, we have this one. It says, autonomy. Don't give workers salaries to local government. Labour begs federal government. I'll take that again. Autonomy. Don't give workers salary to local government. Labour begs federal government. Now,
what does this mean?
Well, I think it borders on mismanagement.
How do they know? So are the state governors, are they managing worker salary very well?
Well, maybe they want it directly from federal government to workers. That's not even, it won't work that way. It will be too bogus. Moving on, we have Tinubu committed to food security. This is coming from Vice President Shettima. We have a picture here asking at Rivers local government. And lastly, on the sports section, it says CAF Confederation Cup, Ayimba get tough Egyptian draw. That's on page 30 of the Vanguard newspaper. And that's all we have right now coming from the Vanguard newspaper. So we'll take a short break now. And when we come back, we'll continue and we'll bring in our guests. Please stay tuned.
Myopic, myopic, myopic.
Welcome back. It's still the newspaper review on Impact Television. And of course, before we bring in our guests, don't forget you can also call us. Yes, we'd like to hear your views. We'd like to hear what's happening in your area, especially Rivers State. I would really love to get someone from Rivers State to tell us what is really happening there. How is the atmosphere? So the number will also be displayed on your screen. You can also stream with us on YouTube and of course on X at High Impact Studios. Let's take a look at this quite interesting but rather sad story coming from the Punch newspaper. It says Lagos begins trial of 2 doctors with the patient's death. Now, this issue of, I think that last month it was on the papers how some patients were wrongly diagnosed, and it led to different kind of thing. Of course, I remember the case of a particular cosmetic doctor, I can't remember the name, who does this, what do you call it, this BBL, and I think she did it for one person, and the person died, and you know, the whole thing went sour and all that. You know, it begs the question of accreditation or license, and how these people are vetted.
Yeah, this issue of quackery, especially in the medical sector, it must be nipped in the bud. You know, because it has to do with life.
Yes.
So when you have a quack lawyer, you don't end up dead. But when you have a quack doctor or nurse handle you, you just might go 6 feet under. It must be tackled.
Yes,
right?
And I wonder why there's no 100% fight or war against all these illegal health centers, hospitals and all that with no licenses. We have them especially in rural communities and all that. And of course, because that's the only thing in that particular community, people, you know, often go there and all that. You find a lot of quack nurses. You find a lot of. I remember when I was in school, there was this woman who used to come and clean our house then in school. She was an auxiliary nurse. There was a time a friend of mine, my roommate, was ill, and he offered him drugs, and they were actually counterfeit drugs and all that, and it was really, really bad and all that. But you know, we really need to find how we can, especially the federal government, they really need to come head to head with all these doctors and all that. I don't know if it's possible, maybe every 3 years or every 5 years they can take some exam like they do for school teachers. I know I remember El Rufai conducted teachers exams and sacked a whole lot of people. But let's welcome our guest. I like to say is, we actually lost him. But while we wait on Dr. Adedayo.
While we wait on our guest, let me quickly give you a background to this particular story we're talking about. Two medical doctors, Michael Atiba and Michael Ubeye, are standing trial at the Ikeja High Court of Lagos State, presided over by Justice Ogala, for the death of a patient, Ejiru Ugorobe. Now, the Punch, which is reporting this particular story, learned that the Lagos State government had on the 25th of March this year arraigned the medical doctors over the alleged involvement in, get this, involuntary manslaughter of the deceased patient, to which both pleaded not guilty. But Olumide, let's flip this coin, right? These doctors are also humans. There is always room, or no, not room. There are cases where people make mistakes. Human beings are not above mistakes. Now, this case is a case of involuntary manslaughter. Okay, we'll probably have this conversation some other time with a medical doctor. But I do understand that our guest is around.
Yes,
do you want to do the introduction?
Let's welcome our social-political technocrat. I love that name, Dr. Adedayo Kayode. It's so refreshing to have you, Dr. Adedayo Kayode. Good morning. Dr. Adedayo Kayode, are you there? I think there's a bit of a network issue there. All right, I was going to tell you a story. This once happened personally to me. My aunt, I remember my late aunt that time, she fell sick and we took her to the hospital, I think in Abuja. I don't want to mention the name because it's a federal government-owned hospital. And they conducted a series of tests and they were treating her for another illness until she died. Now, her daughter, my cousin, decided to do an autopsy and they found out that it was cancer. Let's welcome Dr. Adedayo Kayode, social-political technocrat. Good morning, Dr. Adedayo Kayode.
Yeah, good morning. How are you?
Fine, fine.
Speak up.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, I'm hearing you faintly, but it seems you are far from the mic.
Oh, sorry about that. Our technical crew will work on that. But let's get your opinion on what's happening in Rivers State. Yesterday, there were a lot of burning, vandalism, and all that. And Fubara has said that he's not backing down. In fact, he said his meekness...
I'm not hearing you. I'm not hearing you.
Oh, let's quickly go on a short break. And of course, let's fix this technical issue. We'll be right back.
Well, if you just joined us, it's the Breakfast Cafe right here on High Impact TV. My colleague Olumide is right opposite me, and I am Vivian Oguche. This is the second half of the newspaper review. In this segment, we just get to take a look at the national dailies. We've been trying to hook up with our guest analyst for today, Dr. Adedayo Kayode, socio-political technocrat. We do hope that he eventually is able to join us. In the meantime, though, Olumide said something very unfortunate just before we took that break, how his aunt died of cancer. My heart goes out to you and your family for starters. But was it a case of misdiagnosis?
Yes.
Oh.
They had already started treating her for, I think it was pneumonia or something else. So we're giving her drips and all that, but, well. So that's how it happened. So you can imagine other people who would have happened to like that. But let's welcome Dr. Adedayo Kayode. Dr. Adedayo Kayode, good morning. Can you hear us now?
Yes, good morning. How are you?
I'm fine, I'm fine. So let's quickly get straight into business. Let's talk about what's happening in Rivers. Governor Siminalayi Fubara has said that his meekness should not be taken as weakness. What's your thought on that? And with everything that is going on in Rivers State, the vandalism, burning of cars and buildings.
Yes. Are you hearing me?
Yes, please
perfectly.
go ahead.
Yes, if we are talking about River State and the outcome of the election, and then the swearing in, then the imbroglio and fracas that followed the swearing in since yesterday. You see, in this country now, before now, we have been experiencing executive rascality. But right now, we are also experiencing what I can call judicial rascality. Because prior to that election, notices were sent out that local government election will be holding last Saturday, according to how it has been stipulated in CIEC guidelines. To that extent, preparation started. But then, there are some people that were saying no, they won't be part of that, they will not allow it to hold. And Fubara, who has always been ahead of them, got a court order that yes, that election can hold. Before Wikede went to Abuja High Court to get another order. But then which one should come before the other? What has been the stipulation of our constitution? 1. 2. These people also claimed, and they showed the evidence that they have collected ahead of time the voters register from INEC as stipulated by the Constitution. So excuse me, why should somebody now go to CIEC office to lay siege towards destroying electoral materials there? At the end of the day, the election was held peacefully because I was monitoring it from Abuja. From different TV stations, I was monitoring it. TVC, Arise, Channels, which other one? Silverbird. That thing went on peacefully. Declarations were made by CIEC. And what are they supposed to do? You saw them in immediately so that they can start administration of their various local governments. But then what did we say? Are we now saying, because here there is an alibi. I could see an alibi. Before then, IGP had ordered police to take charge, to put on lock all the local government secretariats. But shortly before the election day, they have been asked to move away. So are we now saying because you now ask them to move away, and they want to show, and the police now want to show that yes, we are relevant, then those who love are waiting. So there's a big problem in this country, and we should note that when there is executive rascality, inclusive of judicial rascality, there is no way our democracy will grow. There are rules and regulations that have been stipulated that needs to be followed. And if Ubara had followed this, I think that was why during the election and immediately after the election, there was no fracas in Rivers State. No fracas. Until after these people now decide to go and assume their various offices. Why can't we, or why can't the politicians just learn their lessons from the past?
Let me come in here, Doctor.
We want to truncate this democracy that we are celebrating.
Yeah.
Yes, we are an independent nation, but are the citizens having their rights? Are they free from rascality of governance? The democracy that we are now enjoying, you now want to take it away from us? The person is for the politicians to sit down
Doctor,
and learn their lessons.
Yeah, let me come in here.
Look at the way the other election, the other democracy was truncated.
Let me come in here, Doctor. You keep hammering on the word democracy, yeah? And an interesting term you used.
Is it what?
You keep talking about democracy. Democracy. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
You keep talking about democracy. So let me take your attention to this story on the front page of The Guardian, right? It says 80% of Africans unhappy with delivery of democratic rule. This is coming from Aki Kekere Ekun. What's your take on this, though?
You see, when we are talking about democracy, it is all about the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And when we are also looking at that, because you have a lot of people, everybody cannot occupy a particular position at the same time. That is one. Two, there is nobody that can assume any democratic position without the people and without some critical part of the population supporting you. No doubt about that. But the moment that person assumes office, the person must know that you are there based on the free will of the people. That is, the people have freely submitted their sovereignty to you. And all they are expecting is dividends of democracy, nothing more. But it's so unfortunate. It's so unfortunate. Africans and Nigerians especially have not been allowed to enjoy dividends of democracy. And why is this so? Because some people within the society always feel that they are bigger than the rules and regulations guiding the environment. They see themselves as the lord of the minor. But why should it be? Why should that be? No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Fubara wouldn't have been the governor of Rivers State without the support of some people. But like in Yoruba, they will say, that is, when you have gifted somebody a ram, you leave that ram for that person, not that you will give him the ram and then be holding the rope.
All right.
Because the moment that is to say, the moment you have put the ring of the deities in somebody's hand. You have empowered that person.
All right.
That person will be saying, yes, let me see who the heck will come and remove this ring from his hand.
Okay, doctor.
We want to flex our muscles.
Doctor, you know, for the sake of time, I want us to cover as much topic as you can before we go, right? There's this other one I want you to take a look at. In case you don't know, we are switching gears already. We are moving straight to the front page of the Daily Trust. It's about Dangote Refinery. Nigerians may pay more for petrol as NNPC quits middleman role. Let's have your take quickly on this before we wrap this segment up.
The issue that we are having with Dangote Refinery is beyond the middlemen. It's beyond it. It is nothing other than connivance of the leadership. There are some people there who are at the ends of affairs. They have invested in two things. One, some have invested in refineries, while some are invested in facilities for importation. And they know if Dangote Refinery is allowed to operate the way it should operate, they will go out of business. And they don't want to go out of business. That is just it. And on this issue, honestly speaking, I wouldn't mind if I can even come to your studio for us to give a proper history to the problem we are facing in petroleum industry. And the earlier the people know the truth, the better. People should know the truth. I'm telling you this, before now, I have been saying it, that petroleum, that is our PMS, is not supposed to be sold more than 70 naira per liter. But even now, latest information gathered through my research has even shown that if government has allowed our refineries to be working, or if government can put their energy in Dangote Refinery, if Nigerians are getting PMS free of charge, Dangote Refinery will still not lose. And I have my facts and figures. And the earlier Nigerians understood this, the better. So don't put all those things on middlemen. It's not about middlemen. It's the government, the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, the person who has the whole thing on his table, decide today that he is ready to do away with the middlemen. He can do it.
All right, Dr.
He has the red biro to sign. He has, if there is that political will, then he will know what to do. They are just suffering us for nothing, just because some people have invested in refineries outside of Nigeria. And they don't want to lose their investment. They don't want to go out of business.
Dr. Adedayo Kayode.
That's what they have been ahead of them before time.
Dr. Adedayo Kayode, I understand your passion towards, should I say, deregulation or the total reduction of fuel price. And of course, I can guarantee you that very soon we would have you here live to actually shed more details, to elucidate, expatiate this, your theory, your research on how petrol should even be sold, should be even given free. It will be almost like a dream, but I know we can really achieve it.
When I come back to Lagos, I will give you a call, and we can have an hour discussion on the. I will come to your studio for us to have an hour discussion on this to educate the people. It is time.
Most definitely.
It is time that we people join hands together to emancipate ourselves, or else we will continue to lose our identity and dignity.
And that is a safe place to land. Thank you very much, Dr. Adedayo Kayode. We do appreciate your thoughts.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me today. Enjoy the rest of your day and the rest of your week.
Thank you. You too. Bye. It will be in a utopian society where you have petrol free of charge, I'm telling you.
That would be really the government giving back to the people. That would be democracy working at its peak. But this is where we would have this as much we can take on the newspaper review. Stick around, we still have a whole lot more coming up on the Breakfast Cafe. We'll be right back.
As a child, what is most important to you is love, warmth, acceptance, and security. But as you grow, there is a paradigm shift in the way you approach life. The interest you lose in some things, you pick in other things. Sometimes, the road is smooth. Other times, it is rough. Every step of the way comes with a new hurdle to scale. You win some, you lose some. You laugh hard, you cry hard, but at the end, you look back with a fulfilling smile and say, what a ride. High Impact Television equips you with what you need every step of the way.
If you just joined us, this is the Breakfast Cafe right here on High Impact TV. Olumide and myself, Vivian, are in the house. This segment is very interactive, yeah? It's called Views from the Net. We get to push out a question on social media and you get to tell us what you think. So this was the question we asked. Should bills be shared on the first date? Quite interesting, don't you think, Olumide? How do you feel if you take a girl out on a date and she says, I'd like to share the bill, pay half, I pay half? Has that happened to you before? It has. You see, these things happen. Tell me about it.
It actually, I was shocked actually, because I wasn't expecting it and she offered to do it. I was even shocked that I had to tell her that, this is the first time. She was like, there's nothing there. But, she just wanted to do it and she wanted to surprise me. Not just one, but different people have done that for me. So it actually happens in Nigeria.
Yeah, so some people would not believe this happens in Nigeria.
It does.
I think it's actually not out of the blues, really. It's something that can be done. Well, let's find out what the people are saying. First contributor says, bills should not necessarily be shared on the first date, but it can be paid by either of the parties involved. It's more reasonable for the bills to be paid based on the agreement of the parties involved in a date, right? A date is a willful meeting by individuals involved at a particular location for a particular reason, and there are no societal laws that mandate that one particular person should pay the bills or mandate sharing of the bills. However, the people going on the date are comfortable with it. However, the people going on the date are comfortable with it should be done in that manner. This is Kutmak Uzaya from Magboro, Ogun State. I hope I got that name right. Thank you so much.
I think for the male gender, to avoid C finish, just pay the bill. Just pay the bill. Just be sure of who you are taking out. The person is not, what do you call it, FFO.
What's that?
Don't worry about that. The person is not a foodie or someone who likes to, a glutton, basically. Just be sure of who you are taking for it. I mean, but for a first date, I believe it's not about eating. And, in Nigeria, I think we think dates are all about eating. Dates shouldn't be about eating. It should be going to see the movies or a park or to the zoo or something. It's just spending time. The actual, the goal is to know this person, to actually meet this person physically and try to get as much information as you can to see what you guys share in common. Not to eat all you can. It's not a buffet. It's not free for all and all that. Yeah. So I believe, just to avoid sea finish, just as a man.
But you keep saying just to avoid sea finish. Where is that coming from? Is it from experience? Why is there always the fear of sea finish? Sea finish, by the way, if you're not Nigerian, is over familiarity.
Yeah, over familiarity.
Why do you think that would creep in?
Well, to avoid any disrespect in any way.
Why do you even anticipate disrespect?
For a man, respect is everything to us. Respect is key. If a woman doesn't respect you, it's a deal breaker.
So you foresee a situation where a girl shares the bills with you on the first date and then she goes boasting. After all, it's not as if he feeds me. I can take care of myself. Is that what you're saying?
Something like that. And, we are used to hearing that word, after all I've done. So to avoid that, after all I've done, statement, I think well, the producer said men to do that. Yes, men do that, but we are used to shouldering all the responsibilities. We just believe.
Not anymore. There are some women who are the breadwinners of the family.
In marriage.
In marriage.
Yes.
I said it yesterday. Even in relationships, there are some women who actually take care of the man. Really.
True. And I feel if a woman really, really likes you, she will spend. That's how you know a woman really likes you. If a woman likes you, she will spend.
No, you can't say that's how you know a woman likes you. You cannot.
She will spend.
She will spend, but that is not the yardstick.
It's not a yardstick, but it's part of the.
It's part of it.
It's part of the
I mean, loving is giving, really. One of the
giving.
ways you show your love is to give.
I've gone for dates whereby we actually shared the bill, but it wasn't a first date. I think it was probably a second or third.
Did it work?
Yes, it worked.
Okay, there was no see finish.
There was no see finish. It was pre-planned.
Okay. We
planned it, that this was how it's going to be, and blah, 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 blah. And, we both went our separate ways, and we're happy. And I've gone on dates whereby I was surprised, and the bill was paid, and I've gone on dates, and I paid. So it's just what works for you, basically. Let's take the next one. It says, I don't think bills should be shared on the first date. It should be sorted by whoever invited the other party. Well, on the date. Example, if I invite a man on a date, I will sort the bill. I like to get an invite from a woman. And if a man invites me on a first date, he will sort the bill. This is Alicha Smith from Lagos. So if the woman invites, so I think men should be looking for women who invite them on dates.
Are you kidding me? I have no answer for you. Well, we got Praise Echim from Port Harcourt, and Praise says, personally, I don't care. She suggests to foot the bill or split, I will gladly oblige. It's not hard. Why would I go to an expensive place for a first date? I don't have strength to impress anyone, I beg. Can you feel the vibe? I'm not sure I want to go on a date. Okay. Thank you, Praise. For your comment.
I like how she said expensive.
I think Praise is a he.
I like how he said expensive, place. That's another thing to consider. For a first date, I think it's wise not to take whoever you're taking on a first date to an expensive place.
What if you can afford it?
If you can afford it, fine. But don't start what you cannot finish. If you take someone to somewhere that is expensive, let's say for instance, the bill starts, you pay the bill and the bill is about 30,000 naira. The next date you might be wanting to do 40 to 50,000 naira. So if you start with 5,000, you can gradually, but don't start what you cannot. Don't create that impression that you want to impress that person. I've learned oftentimes or from experience that your kindness cannot keep a woman. Your sweetness, money, love, attention, all those things can actually keep a woman. Only if a woman wants to be kept. Do you understand? So you have to be very, very careful with that. And that is what you should aim for. Is this person genuinely interested in you?
I think I have a problem with a woman being kept. That sounds dicey to me, though. But the thing is, there's a saying, first impression matters most.
First impression
I think, or I've known some men actually go all out on the first date. They take a woman to the most expensive place where she's treated like a queen just to make an impression.
Then after that, what happens?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the parties involved.
And this is what happens. Now, I'm talking up from the opposite side. This is what happens when people go into a relationship and the lady is now complaining that, oh, you used to do this when we were dating. Now you don't do these things anymore because you were trying to impress her at the beginning.
But the thing is, there are levels, right? When you begin, it's just like a human being. You are a baby. When you are a baby, you're pampered by your parents. But then you grow, and there are things that you can't get away with. That's how a relationship is. I mean, the more intimate...
The pampering shouldn't stop.
Yeah, the pampering shouldn't stop. But at some level, it's not just... You're not trying to impress the other party. you are now in it together and you're willing to please each other. Yeah? All right, let's find out what our next respondent has to say. I don't believe so. Our next respondent doesn't believe the bills should be split. I don't believe so. Men, first dates are meant to build impressions. Personally, I wouldn't want to have someone I'd like to know better pay for her meal when I invited her out. This is Unzekwe Onyekachi from Benin City. Thank you.
Just like I said, avoid see-finish disrespect. You know, just like
that's not what he's
trying
saying.
to create a first impression.
Yeah.
Yes, first impression also matters because it would also boost the level of respect she has for you when you pay the bills, when you take her to a fancy but not. Now, the trick is to take her to a place she wants to go, not a place you want to go.
Now you have hits. No, well, it should be a place where you both want to go. I was going to say now you have hit the nail on the head, but you kind of derailed. The thing is, for some women, it's not about how expensive or how inexpensive a date is or a restaurant is.
In Nigeria.
Jeez, yes. I know the next thing you're going to tell me in this economy.
In this economy. Okay.
In Nigeria, it shouldn't be about how expensive or inexpensive a place is. It's the quality of the relationship.
You know, ladies these days, they know the most expensive restaurant. They know everywhere you want it. So before you even mention the place, she already knows the place. She already knows what they sell there. She knows the items, the bill, everything, what it costs.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing.
Sometimes it's actually good. It's actually good to sometimes if you are really well funded, you could allow her to pick the place. I always like doing that. Allow her to pick the first date. Where do you like to go? What do you think you could do? Let her pick. Take her there. Not too expensive, fancy, lovely. You know, treat her well, treat her nice. First impression, you're trying to make the next date, the second date. So the first date actually matters. What you do on the first date will guarantee a second date. So the next date, you could now suggest what you want. That way you are both bonding, you're both sharing things together. And that's how it works.
All right.
Let's move on. It says here, bills shouldn't be split on the first date because it's time for both people to get to know each other. Typically, it's the man who asks the woman out, so it's generally expected that he covers the cost. Now, to avoid potential embarrassment, thank you very much for that, it is wise to choose a venue that is within your budget. Another wise decision. On the other hand, if both individuals have developed a certain level of closeness after a few dates, they can discuss and agree on sharing expenses as long as the woman is comfortable with it. Communication about such matters is key as the relationship progresses. This is Onwoke Chisholm from Benin City. I mean,
it's just like I said, yeah? It depends on the level of intimacy. As you get closer, you grow. And then you're able to discuss stuff like this. And there's something our last respondent said that was very, very valid. You must live within your means. Don't go borrowing money or take a loan just because you want to impress either a guy or a lady, really.
You understand? I mean, you can just go grab ice cream. So.
Yes, that's right. It's not about how expensive or inexpensive a place is. It's about the two people involved. Yeah.
But these days, when you take a girl to a restaurant, you must also buy takeaway.
It's not a must.
Ah.
Well, Abraham from Ikotun says, bills shouldn't be shared on the first day, but paid for by the woman. Let me take that again. Bills shouldn't be shared on the first day, but paid for by the woman. This is Abraham from Ikotun, Olumide.
Well, it's not bad. It's just Nigeria. You know, there's another saying, you might not agree with this. They said there's a difference with when you date a Nigerian woman who grew up in Nigeria and a Nigerian woman who has stayed abroad. There's a level of understanding,
what does that even mean?
Exposure, basically.
Oh, please.
Exposure.
Just like you said it, I do not agree with you.
But I've experienced it before, so that's why I said you might not agree, have experienced
it. But have you dated a Nigerian that grew up outside Nigeria?
That's what I'm saying.
And you enjoyed it?
the way they think, the way they
Yeah.
see life is quite interesting, quite amusing. It's an eye-opener because they've seen it from both sides, from Nigeria and outside Nigeria.
Yeah.
They've experienced it.
Exactly.
Do you understand? So, do you understand? Now, abroad,
Yeah.
it's
Are you
quite
still with this?
normal.
Are you still with this person?
now, abroad, it's quite
I
normal.
asked a question because if she was so fantastic, you would hold on to her. The thing is, you can't do a random sampling based on dating one Nigeria who grew up outside Nigeria compared to the millions of Nigerian ladies who probably would
Now,
treat
this is
you
not a
even
general thing
better
also.
than the one outside.
This
Yeah.
is not a general thing.
Yeah, so you were going to say something there.
Now, I've even forgotten what I wanted to say.
Ah, sorry.
I forgot what I was. But what I'm saying is, outside Nigeria, abroad, it's a normal thing to split bills.
But
They don't
have
see it as anything. But in Nigeria, where shawarma, ice cream, and every other thing matters,
If that's the case, why do Nigerians abroad don't settle for Nigerian women abroad, but they still come back home to Nigeria to pick a mate?
it's cheaper for them.
Gosh, no, you can't say that. Oh my
No,
God,
let me
I think you have the next comment.
All right, now let's say this one. This one says, okay, this is Okiki from Lekki. Bills are meant to be paid for by the man to show a sign of dominance. Yes, I like that.
What?
Alpha.
This
Be
one
an
actually.
alpha, yes.
Be an alpha.
Yes.
You mean being macho, paying the bills makes you macho.
Some way, it's confidence. Like you said, it's confident because you know when a woman pays your bill, it's almost like you might be quiet, you might be even silent throughout that.
I think it's the mentality for me. That means the mentality of a Nigerian man is then totally different from the mentality of a man who grew outside Nigeria.
Likewise, the opposite gender. Now you understand what I'm saying.
No, I'm not. I'm
Now
not.
you agree with what I'm
I'm
saying.
not agreeing with what you said. But let's find out what this next respondent has to say. Well, this will speak volumes about both genders. For me, it's a no. Again, shouldn't a bill be for the person who initiated the date in the first place? That person in question should actually take care of the whole bill. See no reason as to why the bill should be shared. Only time I see that playing out is if both partners have come to a mutual agreement on splitting the bill. This is Benita from Ojodubaja. Thank you so much, Benita. I like it.
Now, I've met someone who said that if you must take her on a date, you must buy what she's going to wear. I'm telling you, you buy what she's going to wear, everything down to her shoes. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the level. That's the next level. Now, if there's money to throw around, I mean,
And you
she's
really
worth
want
it,
her, yeah.
I mean, you can do that. It
But
doesn't
if
matter.
not,
Well, you cut your coat according to the measurement you have.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
you know. Let's take this next one. It says the guy should pay after all. He's the one trying to impress. All about impressing. If he can't handle a small bill, how will he handle bigger things in the future? This is a dad for me. I don't understand what you mean by bigger things.
Ada, thank you, Jari. This one is Precious from Surulere. Precious Anasike from Surulere. Precious says, no sharing of bills. The person that initiated the date should be responsible for the bills. You don't have money, then why suggest a date? If you want me to share the bills with you, you must tell me before the date so I don't look stupid. Precious Anasike from Surulere, Lagos. Thank you, Precious.
I think the question now is how many ladies would agree to share a bill on the first date?
You'll be shocked how many ladies will agree to split the bill. You will be shocked. You could
Yes,
do a
I will
random
be
sampling.
shocked,
Yeah,
because
you'll
I
be.
know, I know for certain the percentage. Let's take this one. I don't think bills should be shared on the first date because I was on my own, in my house, before you said let's go out on a date, and you should be able to settle our bills wherever we are going to. I won't overdo myself, and I would be stupid to not take any money with me in case something happens. Yes, this is Aishat from Arepo. I like that.
Yeah,
Have
so
vex. They call it vex money. Yes.
Vex money.
Yes, vex money. So in case anything happens, you just pay and leave.
and you leave, and that's it.
And that's it.
Well, Shagun from Abuja says both should split the bill so everyone knows their pocket limits from day one. I think it's called going Dutch. Yeah, well, it says no time for someone to be forming big spender with empty wallet. Shagun from Abuja.
I think I like that. But the thing is, how would you even tell a lady as a man that let's split the bill? It sounds like sand in my mouth. Let's take this one. This says the girl should pay. What? Let me take it again. The girl should pay because she's the one testing the guy's patience. If she's not serious, let her at least pay for my suffering. What did I just read?
Yeah, what did you just read? This is. I'm trying to wrap.
What is going on?
I'm trying to wrap my head around that particular one. Let me continue to think about it. But also, we have Sikiru from Ibadan, who says that bills should be paid by whoever ordered more. If she orders lobster and champagne, and I'm here with rice and stew, she better open her purse. Oh, that's Tunde from Port Harcourt. Tunde from, but Sikiru says nobody should pay. Just disappear after the food lands. Ah? Let the restaurant handle it. First dates should be full of surprises. No way. No way. This is a disclaimer. That is absolutely not, we don't have our consent. We don't consent. Yeah, but there's a very important one from Tunde. Okay. I don't know if you want to take it or should I just take it?
Yeah, just take it.
Tunde from Port Harcourt said, bills should be paid by whoever ordered more. If she orders lobster and champagne and I'm here with rice and stew, she better open her purse. That is hilarious.
That's hilarious. I do not support that. Of course, it doesn't matter who orders more. I might want to eat something light and she might want to eat something heavy. So I think that's not it. All right, let's take this one. The waiter should... Where are we getting this hilarious comments from? The waiter should pay. After all, he's the one smiling while delivering the food. This is Kemi from Benin.
The waiter is just a waiter. You are the one who went there to be waited upon by the waiter. So, hey, do your part.
I think Kemi is just trying to be
I know, right? But thank you so much for your comments. They were very, very interesting today. Keep them coming, yeah? We'll wrap this segment up. When we come back, the show continues. Stay with us.
As a child, what is most important to you is love, warmth, acceptance, and security. But as you grow, there is a paradigm shift in the way you approach life. The interest you lose in some things, you pick in other things. Sometimes, the road is smooth. Other times, it is rough. Every step of the way comes with a new hurdle to scale. You win some, you lose some. You laugh hard, you cry hard, but at the end, you look back with a fulfilling smile and say, what a ride. High Impact Television equips you with what you need every step of the way.
Welcome back. It's still the Breakfast Cafe on High Impact Television. Don't forget you can also stream with us on YouTube and of course on Facebook. It's at High Impact Studios. Also, you can also call in. This is where we discuss topical issues. The topic for today is access to justice, addressing the bottlenecks in Nigerian court. Let me give you, before we bring in our guest, let me give you a backstory to this particular topic. It says, access to justice is a fundamental right in any democratic society. Now, yet the Nigerian court system faces several bottlenecks that impede the timely and efficient resolutions of dispute. Now, these bottlenecks include a heavy case backlog, procedural inefficiencies, inadequate infrastructure, and of course the frequent adjournment of cases, which results in prolonged delays. Now, furthermore, limited access to legal aid services means that many Nigerians, particularly those in rural areas or from low-income backgrounds, are unable to afford adequate legal representation. Now, the slow adoption of technology within the judiciary aggravates these issues, making it difficult for court to modernize and manage cases more efficiently. Now, addressing these challenges will require comprehensive reforms, including simplification of court procedures, increased funding for the judiciary, improved legal aid services, and of course the integration of a digital case management system to enhance efficiency. Now, before we bring in our guest, this particular case of delayed justice, it's something, before they used to say the court is the layman's last hope. But these days it has become quite expensive. We have court adjournment. Some people have been incarcerated for 2 to 3 years to 5 years, and by the time you hear their offenses, they've probably even served time. They've even served longer than what should have been given to them. But let's welcome our guest. He is Barrister Evans Ufeli. He is a legal practitioner. So glad to have you on the show.
Good morning.
Good morning, and welcome to the program.
Thank you.
All right, so let's get right into it this morning. What are the key factors, contributing to the backlog? We have so many backlog cases in the Nigerian courts, and how can they be addressed to improve access to justice?
Well, the backlogs in our courts, so many factors contribute to it, not just one. First, the courts are not enough. That is it, the courts are not enough for 200 million people, just like the police, a number of the policemen are not enough for the population. Same way, the courts are not enough for the population. Okay? And another factor is that we have new layers of crime. Okay? Yes, before 2009, there was no crime such as terrorism in Nigeria. There was no crime such as kidnapping in our law book. You understand? There was none like banditry and the rest of it. But now we have new layers of crime. Okay? Also, we have a system that, a criminal justice system that is slow. Criminal justice administration starts from arrests. Upon arrest, there's what they call prosecution. Now, when the police arrest, oftentimes they don't do their investigation before they arrest. They arrest first and they start to look for evidence to prosecute. Okay? Unlike in the West, very civilized democracies where before you are arrested, investigation has been concluded on you. So within 24 hours or 48 hours, you are charged to court. Here, the police will go and obtain an order to keep you in detention while they go look for evidence against you. So that's one of the factors. Another factor also is that after arraignment, sometimes the bail conditions are so onerous. They are tedious. So once the defendant is remanded in prison, sometimes it's asked to go and get 2 sureties The two shorties must be civil servants of level 18 that have houses in Ikoyi and VI. You see that kind of condition. A civil servant that will have a house in Ikoyi and VI, civil servant. Okay, so when you begin to have such kind of bail condition, it becomes very difficult. They will now be crowded in the prison. Their case is neither moving forward nor moving backward. So the congestion is there. Then the issue of amendment, the courts, sometimes lawyers file applications upon applications upon applications, and the judge will have no choice but to amend cases, the adjourned cases repeatedly. Another factor is that the prison custody, in prison custody, there is rot in the prison. If you don't pay money to warders and sort yourself out as an inmate, they will not bring you to court. So even if the court is ready, the prosecution is ready, the defendant may not be brought to court. Because in the prison, there's a rot going on there where inmates have to sort the prison warders to enable them get a space in the Black Maria that is bringing inmates to court. So you see this. So access to justice is stifled because of so many factors, not just one. There are three institutions that man the criminal justice system. Three institutions: the courts, the prisons, and the police, or law enforcement agencies, which include EFCC, all other ones. So these three institutions are halted. They are sick. So access to justice is stifled because of the rot that is within these three institutions that make up the criminal justice system.
All right.
So,
very well said. The picture you just painted is so graphic. It reminds me of a story that is beginning to die down between Bobrisky, the celebrity, the cross-dresser, Bobrisky, legal practitioners, and then authorities in correctional centers. But there are a number of things Olumide mentioned just before you came on board, including a backlog of cases, and then people are waiting trials endlessly. And then he said that the slow adoption of technology within the judiciary aggravates these issues. Would you agree?
Very well. We have stenographers during trial, okay? We have stenographers. Now we do virtual hearing. But that's for civil cases. Because you cannot do virtual hearing for criminal cases for now. But that would have been very good had it been the prisons are working effectively, because the courts have facilities for virtual hearing. You can actually do hearing from the courts. The court and the prison can actually connect via online, such that you can conduct proceedings without the warders bringing the inmates to court. Yes, you can do that. They do that in the US. Okay, so that you are not on the road all the time, risking the possibility of the inmate escaping. Okay, so the issue of technology is not just attributed to the court. As far as I'm concerned, the court is ahead of the other two institutions. I have never seen a computer in a police station. I have never, in Nigeria. I have never. I don't know whether you have seen one.
Well,
okay. I've not been that much there.
I've never seen. But if you go to the prison, almost the same thing. But when you come to the court, we have internet facilities. We do virtual hearing in civil cases. So it's not the court now. It's those other two institutions that make up the criminal justice system that need to up their game so that you can have technology, deploy technology for the fast administration of justice to create access to justice. It's very important. One other factor is that the government will need to fund these institutions effectively and monitor the facilities they have to increase visibility and to increase the smooth running of justice in Nigeria. See, access to justice is very critical. It contributes to the economy. When investors want to come and invest in your country, one of the things they look at is your judicial system, your criminal justice system. in case they have a case of theft or pilfering, they are looking at how well your country is structured to deal with such cases.
Very
and
awesome.
then they're looking at all that to determine investment. So many things are tied to these three institutions.
All right.
If people get away with offenses in your country, it's difficult for investors to trust it.
Okay. All right. Earlier on also, before you came in, I talked about how some people have been incarcerated for so many years that they've even served the time they're supposed to spend if they had been prosecuted. But I'd like to ask this question. How do delays in this justice system, how does it affect the whole, procedures in court?
It does affect it because when an inmate is on a waiting trial, and same have been there for so long, sometimes for more than the time he ought to have spent if he had been convicted early enough. Okay, it affects because at the end of the day, the judge usually will consider when he was put in detention. Okay, sometimes in their judgment they include those times he has stayed before. But what that does is that it crowds the prison. It crowds the prison. Do you know that in our prisons, when they want to sleep, they file in. They file themselves in like when you open a sardine and you see how the seafood is filed into the can. That is how they sleep, and it's difficult. It makes the place crowded.
Yeah.
A lot of issues will begin to happen. Issues like pay money to get a VIP cell or a VVIP cell or to get a better condition because the condition of, and the federal government recently, last year, came up with this idea that they are tired of feeding inmates, that states should build their own prisons so that all those who committed state offenses should go to the state prisons. Okay? So that's because you are not going to have more people in the prison. Federal government will have to spend more money. An inmate is a citizen.
Yeah.
All the rights, except the right to movement, that applies to every citizen, apply to an inmate, except the right to voluntarily go to anywhere he wants to go to by his own volition. That's the only one that is stifled by prison term. Every other right, the right to life, the right to freedom of speech, liberty, all that applies to that person. So the federal government will now have to take over that responsibility to feed them and keep them alive until they face trial or face whatever it is. One other factor that is hindering also, that is crowding the place and making justice not accessible, is the fact that you have a lot of condemned inmates. Inmates that are already sentenced to death, but because there's no hangman in Nigeria, that is one. And two, governors are not signing death warrants. Governors are not signing death warrants. If somebody has to be, once the court has pronounced the person to die by hanging, maybe it's a robbery case or murder or homicide, and the person has been found guilty and be pronounced to die by hanging, the next thing you discover is that nobody is ready to put his hand there again. The governor will not sign the execution warrant. Even if the governor signed the execution warrant, there's no hangman in Nigeria that will do the hanging. So they just keep them there for as long as possible. They'll be there for so many years, occupying space that they ought to have used to, house inmates and give them better condition and space. So that is also a factor. Okay, so if we are not going to be adherent to capital punishment, we should remove it from our laws. Okay, so many countries have removed capital punishment from their laws. So if we are not going to be able to hang people, or we're not going to be able to apply what the law says, we apply to them. So why keep it in our books?
Exactly.
We need to, why keep it? Well, it's of no use. I mean, it's fighting back at us.
Yeah, that's a very good question. That's a very good question.
So,
as we wrap this up, this is solution based. I would like for us to wrap this up with you making your recommendations. So I'll ask, how does the lack of infrastructure in fact, that wasn't the question I was going to ask. What policies then, what policy, what reform do you think is needed to ensure that we have an effective judiciary?
Well, first, the Minister for Interior, okay, and the CJN and the IG of police, they are the three people who are affected here. They are the three leaders of these three institutions that make up the criminal justice system. The CJN, Chief Justice of the Federation, the Minister for Interior, and the Inspector General of Police. Okay, the three of them need to come together to create this reform. You see this thing they do up before now. The police will go and do their own reform separate. They will say they are doing police reform. And they have now come out with the Police Act. Whatever reform you do in the police will be stifled by the prison. And when the prison does their own reform, it will stifle court. And when court does their own reform, it will stifle both institutions. So the three institutions will be working at cross purpose. Okay? These three institutions are supposed to come together to determine a long-term solution to the problem. And that is to make reforms that will ease transition from what, because there's transition. It starts from arrest. After police have arrested and they have done their investigation, they now prosecute in the court. That's the transition. The court has to be the one that will determine the guilt or innocence of the inmate or defendant. Then when the court is done, the court makes a pronouncement. There's another transition to prison. Okay, so in the prison, the other issues, so if you look at the chain, the three institutions must be able to put their heads together for this coming reform. And the reform should be that first, the police must conclude their investigation before arrest, so that they should not keep as citizens of this country more than 24 hours or at most 48 hours as the Constitution provided without charging the person to court. And when they charge to court, they should be ready to commence prosecution immediately. Because sometimes they charge to court hurriedly. When the court adjourns for hearing, the prosecutor will come to court and say his witnesses are not in court, that he cannot go on trial because the witnesses are not available. Then they will keep adjourning. After some time, the IPO that is supposed to be the star witness in the case will be transferred to another place, and they will bring another one. And before you know it, they'll be toiling around this whole thing, and you are not able to get the right proceedings. Okay? Then you move from there, you get to the prison, you have a different narrative entirely. So these three institutions must do independent or joint reform that would lead to a smooth running of the system. They will go to other countries to, just like when you are coming up with policy, you can do comparative analysis with other countries and see how you can make the prison, the police, and the court better for the citizens of the country.
Wow.
Thank you very much, Barrister Evans Ufele. We do appreciate your thoughts, and of course,
my pleasure.
You've been brilliant.
Yeah. That was very well said. I like the fact that he talked about synergy between the
three arms.
Yeah, the three arms, the major players when it comes to effective, how let's say, effective dissemination of justice.
Yes.
Oh, wow. That was a fantastic discussion. And our guest was Barrister Evans Ufele. The topic was access to justice, addressing the bottlenecks in Nigerian courts. We'll take a short break. When we come back, the show continues.
Where can it be? Back to
Load the gun!
gunshot ongoing live here in the local government of Obiakpor Council. Gunshot from the outside. We don't know. There are gunshots so far. There are gunshots. This is happening live in Obiakpor. 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 Wait. Sure. Listen, wait. This is happening live in Obiakpor. This is happening live in Obiakpor. This is the current situation in Obiakpor. This is the current situation.
Welcome back. The trending story for today was exactly what's happening in River State, Obiakpor local government. As you can hear the man saying, this is happening live in Obiakpor. Bit of arson there, vandalism, just afterwards, after it was reported that the Inspector General of Police withdrew his police personnel from that particular place after the whole local government stuff. And it's quite sad that we have sunk so low to the extent that elections are no more free, fair, and credible. Well, credible, they said it was credible, they said it was peaceful, but after the election, post-election, look at all what is happening after the whole swearing in and every other thing. Some people who feel that, if you feel that this election did not happen in a fair manner, you go to the court. That's the only way out, or the only solution to this, not taking laws into your hands. But I hope that the Inspector General of Police, I hope the police force will get on their tools to find out. It's not just that this thing has happened and let's just forget about it. The people behind this arson, the people behind this vandalism, they should be brought to book. They should be prosecuted. And I'm sure that Governor Siminalayi Fubara would not rest until the perpetrators are brought to book.
Obviously, there are two sides to this story, right? It's been a build-up. Now, after the elections, the local government polls, there was a winner.
Yes.
And then there was a loser.
Yes.
Common sense says this arson in River State will be coming from the camp of the loser. So obviously, the police knows who's responsible already, but we cannot just sit here and make our judgment. So we do advise, or rather, we urge the police, security operatives, to investigate this matter thoroughly, and those responsible must be brought to book. Yeah.
Yes, I think that's all we have. Do we have any comments? Well, if you don't have comments, let's go on a break. And while we're at it, let's take the weather forecast. We'll be right back.
And that is the size of our show today. Big thanks to everyone that contributed to making the show a success. But the bigger thanks to you for watching. If you did like it, join us again, same time, same station. Until then, I am Vivian Oguche. Have a fantastic day ahead.
Also, don't forget that you can also follow us on all our social media at High Impact Studios, at High Impact TV, and the Breakfast Cafe _. I am Olumide Shokoya. Enjoy the rest of your day.
As a child, what is most important to you is love.